And we want to read verse 11.
And every tongue confess that Jesus Christ is Lord, to the glory of God the Father.
All right. Every tongue shall confess that Jesus Christ is Lord. So those are the times, the places primarily where this particular word occurs in the New Testament. Now, I want us to go back just very briefly and look at some passages, just a few passages in the Old Testament. These are very important, and then we'll discuss what these mean. But look at Leviticus chapter 5. Leviticus chapter 5. There are three passages that I found in the book of Leviticus in studying this particular question that relate to what we're talking about. Someone read Leviticus 5, verse 5 for us.
And it shall be when he is guilty in any of these matters that he shall confess that he has sinned in that thing.
All right, if you're guilty of any of these matters, you confess that you're guilty. Turn to Leviticus 16. And let's read verse 21.
Aaron shall lay both his hands on the head of the live goat and confess over it all the iniquities of the people of Israel, and all their transgressions, all their sins.
All right, now look, first of all, in Leviticus 5, verse 5, who is doing the confessing? In chapter 5, verse 5. The person who sinned. And who is this person confessing to in Leviticus 5, verse 5? Priest? Anybody want to disagree with that?
To the Lord.
To the Lord? Is it to the Lord or to the priest?
And he shall bring his trespasses offered to the Lord. Offered to the Lord.
Do what now? So he brings his trespasses to the Lord, and the priest shall make atonement. Is it the Lord or the priest? It's through the priest to the Lord? Is that the way it is? So you mean we're supposed to confess our sins to the priest? Do what? All right, if you're living under the law of Moses. Wait, what? To who? What did you say? To the high priest. Not just to any priest, to the high priest. Is that what we're supposed to do?
Yes.
We're supposed to confess our sins to the high priest. To Jesus. All right. Why?
So we can make intercession.
So he can make intercession for us. Very good. All right. Now look at Leviticus 16, verse 21. I just wanted to get some discussion going there on Leviticus 5:5. I think we all understand that we don't confess our sins to the priests like they did in Old Testament times. We'll say more about that later on. In Leviticus 16:21, who is doing the confessing? Aaron. Who is Aaron? The high priest. What else you know about Aaron? Moses' brother. Who else's brother is he? Miriam. Just testing. All right, so they confess their sins to the high priest. Just like Leviticus 5:5 says, confess your sins to the priest. But Aaron is doing the confessing, and whose sins is he confessing? All the people of Israel, right? Not this time. It's not his sins, just his sins, but all the sins. Did that include his own sins? Yes. So he's confessing his sins for not only his sins, but for all the people. Turn to Leviticus 26. And read verse 40, someone for us.
If they confess their iniquity and the iniquity of their fathers in their treachery that they committed against me, and also walking contrary to me, so that I walked contrary to them and brought them into the land therein.
All right. Who is doing the confessing here? The people of Israel. And whose sins are they confessing? Theirs and their fathers. You mean the son is confessing the father's sins? That's what it sounds like. Who are they confessing their sins to? Who? To the Lord. They're confessing their sins to God. Okay, now in the Old Testament times, under the law, yes, sir.
Is this where the Mormons get the idea that they can?
Very possibly so, yes, sir. Very possibly so. Yes, sir. Brother Wolf?
Is this asking about specific sins of the father, or the sin that's described here of their unfaithfulness, their idolatry, or their wandering away?
That's an outstanding question. Who wants to answer that? Is that talking about any specific sins, or is it just talking about generally the fact that their fathers had fallen away? Which one?
It says sins, doesn't it?
Says sins? Okay.
NIV says their treachery against me and our hostility toward me.
That sounds pretty specific, doesn't it? I mean, they had been treacherous toward God. I don't think that when he says fathers here, he's referring specifically just to, like a fella comes in and confesses his father's sin. I think it's talking about their ancestors, those who had gone on before them. The fact that they had dealt treacherously with God, the fact that they had rebelled against God. And they continued to do that, and God wanted them to do that. So under the Old Testament economy, what would happen would be, if a person sinned, they would come to the priest, and they would bring some type of offering, and the priest would take this sacrifice and he would offer it to God in behalf of the people. And also in the book of Leviticus, they had what we know as the scapegoat. What do you know about the scapegoat?
They put their sins on a guy.
Then they send them out to the wilderness.
All right. All right. Somebody else was going to say something.
Oh, scapegoat. Back to the other one.
Hold on. We'll get back there in a second.
Usually the Gentiles take them out because after it was covered with sin, they didn't want anything more to do with it.
All right. Let somebody else do it, right? They would take the scapegoat, they would bring a goat, and the priest would symbolically take the sins of the people and place them on that scapegoat, and they would rush that goat out in the wilderness somewhere. And that's the way they handled their sins many times in the Old Testament. Okay, Brother Wolf, go back.
The reason I asked that question the way I did is, one of the elements of confession is acknowledgement, humility, and it has to be there. And so for them to be able to see, it's easy for us to see the sin in other people, whether it's our father or our ancestors. But to me, their acknowledgement that what their ancestors did was treachery, hostility, or whatever, and that we're doing the same thing, is the humility that God's looking for when we confess our sins.
All right, excellent point, excellent point. Yes, ma'am.
Proverbs 28:13 says, "He who conceals his sin does not prosper, but whoever confesses and renounces them finds mercy." You can't conceal your sin from God. To me, it's concealing it from brothers and sisters who you're close to, who you love, and you know they love you, not going to look down on you. You can hold each other accountable to help you rise above your sin. You know, I feel like in the church a lot we use that excuse, well, that's between me and God. But there's too many scriptures. The Old Testament was rampant with confessing. You know, Nehemiah, you didn't talk about Nehemiah, but that's a good one. 9:2-3. It talks about how the people stood in their place and confessed their sins and wickedness. Open confession was not foreign to the children of Israel.
Okay. All right, outstanding thought.